My dad had always told me since like as young as I can remember, his favorite phrase like be a leader, not a follower. And then also he told me you got to lead by example and with your voice. Because if you telling people what to do, you telling them the right thing, but then you out there doing something different, why should they?
Got to be working.
Who are you? You see what I'm saying? So lead by example. So that's something I always thought about. I can't be sitting here texting the group chat. Make sure y'all get there early. Let's go get some early work in. But then I'm coming to practice at 6:02 for a 6 o'clock practice. It don't add up. So
exactly.
I knew if I'm telling them we got to give our all, play our hardest, I got to be the first one on the ground. I got to be out there playing my hardest. I wanted it to be like no mistake that no matter what, y'all going to get 100% from me, and that's all I wanted in return. And I think if everybody's on the same page, there could be 3 leaders on the team. It could be everybody on the team can be a leader. It's not necessarily like do what I say. That ain't what it's hit. That's not what I'm trying to do. It's just get everybody going in the same direction.
Welcome to another episode of the Off-Season Podcast. This is episode 2. We got FAOV to my right, Devon Cathcart to my left, and sitting across from me is Caleb Newman. Introduce yourself to kind of give a spiel, like maybe a 30-second elevator pitch of who you are, kind of what you do, and, you know, we move from there.
Yeah, so my name is Caleb Newman. I attended TF South all 4 years of high school. I was a 4-year basketball player over there.
Got you.
So this coming fall, I'll be attending North Park University in downtown Chicago to play at the next level. So I got a few opportunities, and that one kind of fit me the best. And then this summer, I kind of got in tune with off-season. I saw what they were doing, and, you know, we already knew each other from TF South. Okay. So I got in tune and starting to get ready for the season.
Okay. Because I know FA and Devon used to coach at South. So how did y'all come about meeting each other, just for them being around, or kind of going to that?
Yeah, so Vaughn was a dean's assistant this year. So he was all throughout the school. And then FA was there my freshman year, and that's kind of when I met him. But then, you know, just through Instagram, I've been keeping in touch with them. But I actually never really worked out with them for real, because me being a basketball guy, I don't want to say scared of the weights, but I wasn't worried about getting, I was just trying to hoop.
You worried about it to mess up your shot?
Yeah.
Because they was working out with football players?
Before I knew, you know, what it really was. But, when I talked to FA, and I got in the gym, I really saw, there's a lot more to it, and he definitely, you know. Yeah,
most definitely. One thing I want to get into, Caleb, just to kind of get backtrack, to the way beginning of, how you got into sports in general, if you played anything outside of basketball as well.
Yeah, so actually, my dad will tell you, growing up, baseball was my first sport. And it was until the end of my sophomore year. I loved baseball. So my freshman to sophomore year, I played varsity, but I just got to the point where I realized, that's not really what my heart is. And I played basketball my whole life, too, and it was, they were hand in hand. And I realized, I had, a sit-down moment with myself where if I really want to do one of them, for me at least, I knew I had to choose one. Some people can do both that long, but I was I want to put 100% into one. And it got to a point where I felt like baseball was taken away from basketball. So that's the point where I knew, if I feel like it's taken away, then it's not my true love. So
okay. So you was playing baseball in high school as well?
Yeah, I played.
I played baseball at South too. I was there. I was on varsity since my sophomore year. So
okay. He was something, yeah.
We don't gotta go into that.
He was good.
But okay, so you said baseball you played first, and then so what age was you when you started playing baseball?
Baseball was about, T-ball, so 4 or 5, something like that. And basketball was probably right there too.
Yeah.
But then I didn't start playing I wasn't early to the AAU scene, kids 2nd, 3rd grade playing AAU. I didn't start playing AAU till 6th grade, and then I've been playing since then. But yeah.
Okay. So what youth teams did you play for?
I played for Clippers Nation Elite, so they kind of were homegrown too. And I spent 2 seasons with Illinois Jaguars.
Okay.
But I'm still in touch with Clippers Nation Elite. I'm actually coaching a 5th grade AAU team for them now.
Oh, okay. How that's going?
It's great, man. I love it. I love working with the youth. And then we got a little camp that we run. So I've been working all summer running the camp for 2nd all the way through 8th graders. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Okay, I want to ask, because I know we was talking about the last episode. I want Devon and FA to kind of mention how they got into sports as well, just to kind of.
So how I got into sports, I think I started around 8th grade. I had low-key been asking my mom to put me in football, because I just knew I was always one of the bigger kids, and I just knew that I could play, but she just never would put me in because she thought it was scary. So I didn't start playing football, so I was 8th grade until I was in 8th grade, and I played for Calumet City. And yeah, just did real good there. And I'm like, yeah, high school gonna look bright for this. So then, high school came, and I, started playing, I think, defensive end and tight end, and it just took off from there, bro, honestly. I did play basketball, too, my freshman year, and then my sophomore year, I made the team, but then I quit because I was like, kind of same thing like him, like I didn't want this to take away from football. So, I had quit playing basketball and just focused on football. But, yeah, that's how I got into it and then played all the way through college. And,
So you ain't played no sports before 8th grade?
Nope, nothing.
It was mainly just because your mom didn't want you to play football?
Yeah, pretty much. I feel like I probably wanted to play since probably like 4th, 5th grade, but yeah, she just wasn't trying to put me in because she just thought it was scary. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, going past the FA. I know FA mentioned he started playing football freshman year last episode.
Yeah, so for me, it started like y'all with baseball. I grew up, in the city near Gailey Park. So, if you're from that Roseland area, then you know about, baseball over there. So that was big. And really, man, I like I said last time, I didn't play football until freshman year of high school, and that was something like I always wanted to do. But same thing with Vaughn, like my parents, like, nah, man, you ain't playing no football. So I ended up hooping. Like when I came out here, nobody was playing baseball. Like that wasn't big like it was in the city. So everybody was hooping, playing football. So I just started playing basketball because that's what the group that I hung around was doing. And I got to high school, like, man, I'm about to put the pads on now. It's easy now. I can just go ahead and
crazy thing about me, like when I started playing sports, baseball was my first sport, like you, Caleb. And for some reason, like I always wanted to play basketball because actually my next door neighbor when I was living in Dalton, he hooped. And he played baseball, but he never really kind of played football. So I always wanted to hoop. But for some reason, my parents was always like, you're not finna hoop. You finna play football and you finna play baseball. Like, they was like the complete opposite. Like, I don't know what it was. It's like I started playing baseball, T-ball at 4 years old. And then I started playing football at 6 years old with the Dalton Bears. And then, I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna be honest. I hated football, like, playing it as a kid. Like, because I always wanted to play basketball. Like, I loved baseball. But, because, I don't know, I think, like football-wise, I was scared of the contact, all of that. I think I got my dome ring one time, and I was over with for football. But then I kept playing it, and then as I started learning how to play it, and then getting tougher as I'm playing it, then that's when I started, liking football actually, and I learned that I like the games more than I like practices. So, Caleb, I know you mentioned you played, sports growing up as far as basketball and baseball. How did you manage to kind of do that when you were growing up?
Yeah, so honestly, I feel like baseball, I definitely worked hard while I was at practice, but I wasn't going to hit the cages after practice.
Okay.
When I was in my 2-hour practice, I was going hard for sure. I loved it, but I didn't have that drive like I did with basketball. Basketball was like, I'm there before practice, I'm staying after practice, and I'm going to wake up, do it again. So that's when I realized one of these is something more than the other. But it's during the season, it never really took away. But I felt like sometimes I couldn't play spring AAU ball because we was playing baseball in the spring.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's and I think that's what it was my junior year. That's a big year for scholarships for basketball. That's a big recruiting year.
Most definitely.
And I'm I can't just not play AAU my junior year because I want to play baseball. And I'm not really I love baseball, but I wasn't looking to go to the next level like that with baseball. But during the season, I was always able to focus on one. But I ain't gonna lie, there would be times where I'll be at baseball all the guys out there hooping right now, and I gotta go to baseball practice. But I loved it, but it was just, I don't know, it came to a point where I realized.
So you I think for a while, so you probably knew that basketball was the uno, even though you played baseball first.
For sure,
basketball is probably the sport that you had love for a lot more, even though you love playing baseball as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then basketball, I just feel it's easier to get people to hoop off the court, just yo, we finna go hoop right now. You can't really say that with baseball, yo, we finna go play piggy. I don't know.
That's basketball. You got a ball at the crib, and don't let you have a hoop or have a park that's walking distance. You hoop every day, but baseball, you can't just go to the field by yourself. Really,
exactly. And then baseball is a sport that you gotta It's not something that you could just pick up and do. Basketball, even if you kind of suck, you can at least keep up. Be on the court, play defense, grab a rebound, pass to the good player. Baseball is if you ain't practice your swing on the T-ball first, it's don't even pick up the bat. Or if you ain't practice playing catch, it's don't even try to do it. Yeah. So yeah, that's I definitely understand that. I definitely want to tap into in high school, you mentioned baseball and basketball. I know your basketball seasons You had experienced COVID. You was a part of that time where. What year were you when COVID
That was my
happened?
sophomore year.
That was your sophomore year. So kind of I want to ask about that. Like kind of what was the mindset going in that when the season – did the season start yet or was it like cut short?
So my whole sophomore year was all online. So it wasn't like like it got cut short. So I was waiting, honestly, because they canceled or they moved football season to spring that year. So like it's like October and there's no football games going on. I'm sitting there – doing what I was supposed to do. I'm like, I mean, that's cool, but basketball's gonna happen. Like, I was like, I was just having hope. And then they eventually came out and said like it didn't happen like a normal season did, but we started in I want to say February, and then we played like February and March, and then we only played like 13 games versus like the normal 25, 26. But we played 13 games in like a month and a half. So it wasn't a full season, but we at least played. Yeah. So it was like a little less than half a season.
And then I'm assuming it wasn't like a conference thing, like championship.
No, it was no playoffs that year.
No playoffs. Okay. So prior to the season starting, like with the COVID season, like how was you able to like stay in shape or kind of stay motivated to know, with classes being online and not necessarily being at school? Yeah. How was you able to stay motivated?
Yeah, so that year was hard. I'm not going to lie, because it was hard to get in a gym because most gyms was closed down as far as hooping gyms went. So I really was at the park all day because there was one park. They took rims down at a lot of parks, but there was one park, Schultz Park. It's like it's in Lansing, and they never took that rim down because nobody goes there. Yeah. So that's where I was.
That's like a low key park, really.
Yeah, it's not too many people go there. So that's the park I was at, trying to stay like on top of my stuff. And then that's where I kind of found out that I love doing like hill workouts or like in the sand, because the beach, like, get out there early, So I was doing a lot of sand workouts and hill workouts, like running hills because they can't close down the hill. So that's where that's kind of how I stayed on task.
Yeah, that's good, man, that you figured out a way to kind of stay committed to it, though. Because, a lot, like you said, a lot of times when people got a lot of time on their hands, they either fall asleep, do something lazy. Sometimes people don't ever really think to actually do something creative or do something different or figure out things about themselves. Funny story, actually, for COVID for me, like, this is actually kind of how I got started with all of this. Like honestly, so I was at NIU. I got to NIU fall 2018, transferred there from South Suburban. And then, so I had 1 year without COVID, and then the rest of my years at NIU was pretty much COVID. And like during COVID, like that's when I started accumulating all the stuff that I got, just because I knew that I wanted to do something, and I had so much time on my hands. It was like, once I did school, it was like, what else am I gonna do? The gym's closed, and I wasn't really working out for real then too. So it was like, kind of, what did I do? And then I started realizing that I like to talk and kind of get into the media space, and that's when I kind of learned that. So definitely, I know. When did y'all start off season? What year?
It was it the year after COVID? It was like a year after COVID. Was it 21? Yeah, 2021.
So when did y'all? I definitely want to know when did y'all realize y'all wanted to start off season? Because I know it had to, like, even though y'all started the year after COVID, it had to been like sometime before that.
Well, this plan was really in motion like years and years ago. Like when we were in college, because we had hit South and run the track or something. Like we'd get on the track working out, and we'd just talk about like, man, we need to come back and do something big for the area. Like, but it just wasn't put together in a plan yet. But we always had an idea, like, we're gonna do something to help the kids in the area and make the programs better. So off season always was a thought, but you feel me? It just wasn't a plan yet. So I think, yeah, maybe like 2021. I actually waited for Devon to get home because, he's a year younger than me. So he was still in season while I was out. So after I graduated, he was still playing. So he played his last season, came home, and then that's really when the plan really got put forward. We started working out with the kids at South, training them, and then we like, man, we got to make this official, make it a brand, make it something that can grow. So that's when we, started playing and came up with off season, and we just went from there. So since 2021, we've been really growing in every year, just trying to do something to excel the brand. So now we're here, 2023. So see where it goes from here.
You got any piece to say about that, Devon?
Yeah, I was gonna say, definitely waiting on me to come home. Kind of like prolong what we was trying to do. Like he said, we always had the idea of what we trying to do, but he had started coaching at South. So that had kind of got our foot in the door with football and got us access to a group of kids, like kind of right off the bat. So with him coaching there, and then I think I came back that summer to train for my last season, and then I worked with the linebackers. So like we had direct access to kids like right off the bat, and then we kind of just grew it from there. Like took those kids, start working out with them, start trying to teach them the way to navigate, and then it just kind of grew from there.
Got you. You bring it back to Caleb. I know I was reading up on you and a couple other hardships that you dealt with, while playing in high school was a torn meniscus. It was.
Yep.
Yeah. So kind of like walk us through like kind of how you battled through that, like what happened, leading up to the injury, and then kind of like how you battled back to bring yourself back to the court.
Yeah. So the injury when it first happened, I'm not gonna lie, it was tough because it was in the pretty much like the dead middle of my junior season. Like I was saying earlier, that's a big year for recruitment. Mm-hmm. You like. At least in the basketball world, it's like you build the relationships with coaches junior year. They come watch you senior year, and that's when they, really like get deep into the process. And I was having a good year. That was my first year really playing on varsity. Mm-hmm. So we played some of the better teams in the area, and I performed pretty well. So I was starting to hear from coaches, getting in touch with coaches, and my name was starting to grow like in the south suburbs and in our conference, and then kind of like. Boom, I just tore my meniscus, and then it kind of like felt like it all went away. And the crazy thing is I played the whole game that I tore it. I tore it in the first quarter. I played the whole game because I just bumped knees with somebody. I wasn't thinking all that. Yeah, I played the whole game. Wait. With a little limp for sure. But
that's what I'm saying. Like you ain't feel it or nothing.
So two of our better players were out that game. One had COVID and one something else was going on. But so I was like. And we was playing Lamont. So, I'm like, Conference. If we want to win, like, I'm not about to sit down. Like, I'm about to try my hardest. So I played the whole game. I got home. I'm like, hey, Mom, like, I don't think something right. Like, that don't feel like a regular, when you bump knees with somebody. I woke up the next morning. We were supposed to go play Thornwood. I called my coach, like, Coach, I can't get out of bed. Like, I can't make it. But after that, I went through my surgery, my physical therapy and all that. After the physical therapy, that part got me like, now I'm ready to get to work. I was just waiting for the doctor to okay me, and I was ready to get right back to work. Mm-hmm. My first so I got cleared. That happened in January. I got cleared in like April. So my first AAU tournament, it was horrible. I remember it forever. Mm-hmm. Like my first time back on the court, it was like the worst performance of my life. The whole weekend, we was in Milwaukee, couldn't even like.
It's your first time back though.
Yeah.
And you got to get comfortable with it too.
Yeah, it's like I was out there like.
That's not a small injury.
Playing like nervous, and I'm like, man, but after that, I picked back up and I was good. And I really do feel like I came back better. Like everybody said I would, but I'm like, they just tell me what I need to hear. But I really did like come back better and found out things about my body, found ways that like I can impact the game without jumping over anybody, flying up around somebody. Mm-hmm. So.
Okay, yeah. So you tore it in January of what year?
I want to say January of 22.
January of 22. And then the turnaround as far as like when you was able to be cleared to get back on the court?
And I got back on the court like April of 22.
Dang, so that was a quick little turnaround.
Yeah,
so what you think, dedicated to that, what was the reason behind that quick turnaround? Was it the way you was eating, the way you was working out, how you took care of your body?
I think I was just, when I got the doctor gave me a physical therapist, I like was locked in. I'm like, whatever you say, we're going to do it, and we're going to do it to the fullest extent. Mm-hmm. He was like, let me know if I'm hurting you, if you need this. I'm like, nah, like we gonna do it. If you don't think it's gonna like make anything worse, we gonna do it and get through it. And I was determined to get back because I'm like, I'm not gonna let this just be the end of my career or anything.
Definitely. So, and like you said, junior year is definitely the most important when it comes to like being seen. And as far as like AAU, you mentioned that when your first game back, the tournament, you was playing pretty bad. Kind of how long did it take for you to get back into the swing of things?
I really say like probably the second tournament I was back okay. That AAU season was kind of up and down, but I felt back like myself. Probably like the second tournament or closer to myself. But then really by the time summer league came for high school, so I think that's that June. So that was like going into my senior year, and I knew it was kind of like my time, I guess. So I was ready, and I had a really good summer league, and that's kind of when.
That's what prepared you for your senior year?
Yeah, I've been in my senior year, yeah.
All right, cool. So let's go into your senior year. Junior year, you mentioned tearing your meniscus, kind of being out for what? I think it was about 3 months, would that be?
Yeah, 3 months. So.
And then coming back and then kind of like making your way back and then leading to a good senior season. What was your mentality going into your senior year? Obviously, you had turmoil with COVID and then, the injuries. What was your mindset kind of being like, all right, this is my senior season, this is my last time, like, let's get it.
Yeah, so I really was like, my approach to it was like, this is my last season playing with some of my best friends ever. So like, whether we all go to college or whether only some of us go to college, more than likely we're not going to go to the same college. We probably never going to play again after this season. So I tried to come with it as like trying to have fun and trying to keep everybody, having fun, because I think once you lose that part of it, you never know what could happen. But at the same time, I was like, I'm ready to do something this year. I don't want to just, play just to play. So I think we had a good group of guys this year. Everybody was tight, and we had an okay year. Obviously you're going to want some games back. But overall, I think we had a pretty decent year. So, yeah, my mindset was like, I know I got the green light from Coach. I know because he's seen the work I put in. So I was like, I'm going to make the best of it, and I'm going to try and give TF South a little bit of a name, give myself a little bit of a name, and win some games.
Yeah, I definitely know the feeling of, like, kind of going into your senior season and just, like, knowing that, like, all right, this might be the last time I play football with these guys, or this may be the last time I play baseball with these guys. And I think the thing that I did, seeing you with both of the sports I played, because I wrestled, but I only did that my freshman year, but my main sports was football and baseball. And going into my senior year, obviously I was thinking about, also having a good season, but the thing that I wanted was just like the team to be together. Like kicking it outside of, I was big on like kicking it outside of the sport itself, like actually building that rapport with our teammates. Really, like definitely in football, but really in baseball. Like if you ask anybody else on my team senior year, I was very big on hosting March Madness tournaments at somebody's crib and this and that. And I think that was also important for me to do as well. It was just being a captain on the team. Along with my boy Cody Petrich. But I think that's just important with building camaraderie with your team, even when y'all lose. Y'all know y'all homies outside of this, so it's like not like y'all hate each other. Y'all going through it together and stuff like that. I want to talk about you, kind of like what was your leadership style? Being in at TF South, like going into your senior year, what was like your thing?
So I knew I was gonna have to be the leader, and I kind of played that leader role my junior year up until the injury. But my dad had always told me since like as young as I can remember, his favorite phrase like be a leader, not a follower. And then also he told me you got to lead by example and with your voice, because if you telling people what to do, you telling them the right thing, but then you out there doing something different, why should they?
Got to be working.
Who are you? You see what I'm saying? So lead by example. So that's something I always thought about. I can't be sitting here texting the group chat, make sure y'all get there early, let's go get some early work in, but then I'm coming to practice at 6:02 for a 6 o'clock practice. It don't add up. So
exactly.
I knew if I'm telling them we got to give our all, play our hardest, I got to be the first one on the ground. I got to be out there playing my hardest. I wanted it to be like no mistake, that no matter what, y'all going to get 100% from me, and that's all I wanted in return. And I think if everybody's on the same page, there could be 3 leaders on the team. It could be everybody on the team can be a leader. It's not necessarily like do what I say. That ain't what it's hit. That's not what I'm trying to do. It's just get everybody going in the same direction. And
I think a good quote from Deion Sanders is every dog ain't a leader and every leader ain't a dog.
Yeah.
But I think, some people just know how to play their roles well, knowing that they're a leader, but maybe they're not able to produce like, the star athlete. Or maybe even the star athlete know they're not a good leader, but they, play with their performance and things like that. F and Devon, I want to ask y'all, because y'all played, in college. What was kind of like y'all experience with like leadership, or y'all had like a leadership style or things like that when y'all was playing?
Yeah, so I think it's kind of similar for us both as far as that leadership role, and that's kind of why we here doing what we doing now. Is like within where my role as a leader was like I always showed through example, through physically doing it, being the best player on the team, and through vocally, like, you know what I'm saying, within the community, just like you just have to be that dog, like you said. You got to be that person on and off the field. If it's in the weight room, on the field, in meetings, whatever, like you're leading by example. You're that one. So you going to lead all of these men, because mind you, in high school, you boys, but in college, it's grown men. It's 22, 23-year-olds, so they're not going to follow behind somebody that they don't believe in, somebody that's not putting in the work. So you got to put in the work. For me, it was always putting in the most work, producing on the field, and being that vocal leader. Like, so when we got to rally, when the game on the line, anything, it's me. It's on me. If we lose, it's on me. If we win, it's on me. National championships, it's on me. Like, everything is for me. You know what I'm saying? But it's for the group, for everybody to be better. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what a real leader is. A leader is making sure everybody around them is in the best position they could be in. So that was my role, making sure I was on point and everybody else was too.
I agree. What about you, Devon?
Yeah, I pretty much had the same role in college. High school also was a leader, and I think that kind of carried over and kind of prepped me for college. But I didn't know that I would have to be the type of leader that I would have to be once I got there because of how just messed up the system was.
In college?
In college, yeah. Just going to just an 0-10 program, like just a losing culture, losing mentality, coaches, staff, faculty, whoever, like just losing mentality all over the board. So it was just hard for me to kind of do what I wanted to do because everybody got this mindset of, we're just going to lose anyway. But kind of like he said, just having to be that voice and that just the commander and the general that goes out there on the front lines and shows like, look, this is how it's done and this is how we gonna do it, and either y'all with me or y'all not. And one important thing that he brought up was that I think that the most important thing about being a leader is that you actually gotta put in that work and you actually gotta show who you are on that field or on that court to be respected as a leader. You don't just walk up and, yeah, I'm the leader, or you don't just get that leader title by doing all the talking. Like,
I think the work comes first, definitely.
Yeah, like I had been there for 3 years, but until they see me step on the field and see what I can do, then it was like, okay, like now we can respect him. But it was like, okay, I'm gonna rule with an iron fist on and off the field too. So it's like, y'all have no choice but to respect me, and I play well, so like y'all have no choice but to respect me. But man, I feel like a lot of guys want to be a leader or want to lead in not the right ways, just by coming around and just, you might have a little hype behind your name, but it's like, no, like, how are you living on and off the field, even when people aren't looking? Like, and I think that was the most important. Even when the coaches weren't looking, like, what did I have to do? I had to make sure the freshmen were getting in their dorms on time and chasing guys around, making sure they wasn't out late and all type of stuff. So it's a heavy title to carry sometimes, but if you prepared, like he said, just with your preparation as far as you put the work in and you got that mindset to where you want to lead men and change the culture, then it should be nothing to you. So I think he did that pretty well, very respected kid around the school.
At TF South?
Yeah. I worked in the building and always seen him around, always stayed to himself. But yeah, I think he led them pretty well, and he seemed like he had the most level head on the team, just kind of always do the right thing type of guy, so I'm glad that everything worked out for him, despite, the season might not going exactly how he wanted to go, but he still is playing college basketball, which is a great achievement on any scale, so,
Definitely. Yeah. Playing sports in college is always a blessing, I will always think. You got something to say, F.A.?
Yeah, so one thing that I want to commend him for is like right now in this generation that we have athletes in, everybody wants to click up, like, you know what I mean, like everybody wants to go play together, like the spirit of competition is gone, you know what I'm saying? So for me, honestly, I wasn't in the building, so I wasn't around as much to see every game and interact with them. But in my head, I saw him on social media. I'm like, man, dude, cold. Like, man, he about to get out of there. Like, because that's my first thought. Like, anybody that's good that go to South or around the area, like, if they nice, if they could play, they probably going to leave and go to one of the Catholic schools or go leave and play at one of the big schools. But he didn't. And I was like, man, I respect that. Like, I respect an athlete that's going to be like, nah, man, I'm not going to play with nobody. Like, I want to bust y'all ass. Like, I ain't trying to go play with the best players. Like, I'm gonna show y'all I'm the best. So yeah, I think a lot of athletes should like take that path where it's like, man, just stay home, stay where you at and ball and get your team together. Don't go running, I want to play with this 4-star, 3-star. That's all sports, like not just basketball, it's football too. Nobody wants to compete anymore. Everybody want to play together, win the easy state championship, get the easy exposure, but nobody want to get it out the mud. Nobody want to stay at their home school and like, man, we gonna grind this out. We gonna put a team together and we gonna take it there. Everybody want to take the easy route. So yeah, that's why he has my respect, because he stayed at South. They wasn't the best. They not nationally ranked. They not one of the top teams in the state. They not contending for state championships. But he like, man, forget that. I'm gonna stay home. I'm gonna play with my boys, and whatever happen gonna happen. I'm gonna ride, and that's respect. I respect any athlete that's gonna ride for their program. Same thing me and Vaughn did, and I ain't gonna lie, I was telling Vaughn to transfer. I'm like, man, you too good, bro. Like who want to lose 3 years in a row, like zero? But he and I respect it, because he like, nah, man, I came here and it's my vision, turning the program around, and whatever happen gonna happen. But I ain't gonna bail out on my guys. So I can't nothing to do respect it though. So yeah, bro.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
I want to bring it back to Caleb real quick. Caleb, as you can see, like they speak very highly of you and think very highly of you. And then he even mentioned, kind of like you being around Southview was very well respected there as well. I want to talk about kind of how you ended up at North Park University. It is kind of how did that go about, whether it was the recruitment process or anything like that in general.
Yeah, so real quick before I get to that, I wanted to say, like, I appreciate what they said, because those are things that I really, like, took pride in. Like, those are intentional things. A lot of it came from my house, like my parents. I was, lucky enough to have a good house where they could prepare me for things like that. But, like, especially in the school, like, the leadership don't stop when practice over. It's like, study hard, do your homework, whatever you got to do, and I always told people, like, don't be we represent the program, so we don't want the TF South teachers to think of the TF South basketball players as bad kids, irritating kids, doing this, doing that. So I really try my best to try and keep our image, do my part in keeping our image, as good as it could be. And then also being a leader throughout the school, because, like, the younger kids, obviously, it's like if you on varsity, the freshmen, the eighth graders going to look up to you no matter how good you are. Regardless. But then especially if you are already, like, the leader on the team or got somewhat of a name, they really going to look up to you. So I always try my hardest, like, the basketball part is the easy part. But if you can get your grades right, if you can do what you got supposed to do, the 8 to 3, when you got practice at 3:30, now that's the easy part. Just go work.
Have fun.
Because a lot of kids, like, don't even get the chance to show their talents on the court because they mess it up before they even get a chance. So I really try to, like, be a positive influence around the school in that way. But North Park, so I had a few opportunities coming out of high school. North Park felt real to me. So, like, when I was being recruited, they came to a lot of games. They showed love, and they told me after I visited them, they were like, we're going to be at the games, but we're not there to see if we want you. We know we want you. We there to show you our support, and we there to, help you. So it would be times different coaches would be at my games and talk to me after, in the locker room, and some would tell me, you need more shots. They got to get you the ball more. Some would tell me, like, you did what you were supposed to do. Your teammates just ain't. And North Park would tell me, like, you played good, but you got to work on this. You were supposed to do this. And that's before I was committed. So for them, I'm like, they really got it's like they really got my best interest. They not just telling me what I want to hear so that I can go to this program. I really felt like they truly had, like, my best interest. And then also their coaching staff, last season was their first season, and they kind of got the job late, so they didn't really have a real recruiting class. So I'm their first recruiting class. Not me, but my class is their first recruiting class. And they made me feel like they really got something special going on. They went from, like, they ain't been in the tournament in some years, and then this year they went to the Sweet 16 in his first year as a coach. So I'm like, they building something over there. I want to be a part of it. Definitely. And then on top of all that, the distance from home was, like, it's about 45 minutes to an hour. It's the right distance from home. The money was right. So it was just, like, all of that together.
It pretty much is just all aligned. It was the best fit.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think something, F.A. and Devon was talking about last time about the recruiting process is, like, everything, going to look good when you're recruiting and stuff like that. And they're not going to tell you what's, like, wrong with the organization. They're going to tell you what's right with it. And I think thing that I like what you said about North Park, what they did is that they showed support. The thing that separated them from the other recruiters, they showed support, and they was also being authentic with you as far as, like, how not only how you play, but kind of just, like, how you can get better as well. So I think that's definitely important too. I want to ask, are you staying on campus, or are you going?
Yeah, so I'm staying on campus. So I've been up there, like, a couple of times this summer, just open runs with the guys, working out, using the facilities, getting used to being on campus. But I already knew I wanted to stay on campus because I feel like, for one, just a college experience.
You got
you should stay on
campus.
campus.
You got to experience. Like, you got to.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like I wanted to stay on campus regardless. But then on top of that, student athletes, like, bro, like, first of all, I'm not driving to the city every day at rush hour. Yeah. That's just ridiculous. But then also, like, 5 a.m., 6 a.m. workouts, like, I'm not getting up an extra hour to drive when I could just live there,
Yeah.
So I thought, so I'm staying on campus. I'm excited, though.
Definitely. One thing I want to touch upon is immediate impact. Obviously the season didn't start yet, but like you said, you have been up there running with some of the players and stuff like that. What are some things that you want to set for yourself when the season starts, or maybe when you just get started being on campus?
So I was talking to Vaughn and F.A. about it. Like, I know, at least in the basketball world, a lot of times they use that freshman year to get you ready. But my goal is, like, I want to be ready when I get there. So that's stuff I got to do on my own because, NCAA rules, they can't work with you throughout the summer and stuff like that. But, like, me, I know what I want to achieve by the time I get there. That way, when I'm there, I'm ready. Like I got some experience under my belt, so I've been going to a lot of college open runs all summer. A lot of like some guys I know that play in college get me in their school and get in some runs. So I've been getting a lot of college ball play this summer. The speed of the game obviously faster, and obviously it's gonna be a lot to learn. It's gonna be a big learning experience for me. But I'm doing the best. Gotta be a student in the game. Exactly, of course. But I'm doing the best I can to be ready when I get there, whether that be with the weights, because I think that's the biggest difference. Is just when I like went to my first open run at North Park, I was like, I feel like I can shoot the ball with these guys. I can dribble with these guys, but like they just all bigger than me. Like they lower that shoulder, I'm moving. So like that was like and in high school it wasn't like that, but in college I'm like.
So that's probably like the biggest difference that you noticed even before like actually playing an official game. It's kind of like the size wise.
Yeah, we ain't even had our first practice, but I know that's what it was. So I'm like, let me try and fix that before I get there. Because if you're trying to fix your like build and all that during the season ain't really. You ain't really lifting that often like that to be changing your physique during the season. So I'm trying to get that done now. That way when I get there, I don't got to worry about that as much at least.
Yeah, makes sense. Couple more things I want to ask before we kind of like wrap it up. I know we was talking about you being an athlete and things that you do on the field, even things, like being well respected at TF South and things like that. Kind of what do you do, for fun in your free time, things that's outside of sport, maybe to clear your head and anything like that?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in Christ, so I spend a lot of time at the church.
Okay.
So that's where I just came from today. I actually do the sound at the church, so I'm really into music. And then I also, this kind of is, I guess, basketball related, but I coach. So I'm going into elementary education, so I work with kids, and I love working with kids. And even though it's basketball, it's not really, it's like a different, you see it from this aspect versus the player aspect. So I love training kids and coaching like 5th grade, really all ages, but really starting like 2nd through 5th, 6th grade. So I do that a lot. I spend a lot of time working with the younger kids in the area through basketball. I really love doing that.
Yeah.
And I be at the church a lot.
Yeah. Was it anything like as far as, because you mentioned that you coach AAU 5th grade, was there any coaching styles that you adopted from coaches that you may, have worked with as a kid or in high school, anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. So like, I really took like a little bit from everybody. Like it sounds cliche, but I really did.
That's the best way to do it, though.
I mean, you can't coach them like you coach a varsity basketball team, which is my most recent experience. But I can't bring 5th graders out here and do what we do. But luckily, one of my coaches, my youth coaches, Kenny Barnes, Coach Kenny, his grandson was on the team. So me and Coach Kenny stayed tight all these years, and Coach Kenny does that for a living. So he was able to help me out. So now I feel comfortable doing that. And then also the owner of all this, Coach Tommy Myers, he's like an uncle to me. So, and it's his program that I'm working for. So like he was able to help me all that too. So, I mean, they kind of helped me in the beginning, but now I'm kind of doing it on my own, and it's real. I don't know. I love it. It's good. It's fun.
Yeah. What about, I want to ask FA and Devon, because y'all, y'all coached and have experience with coaching. What is kind of like some styles y'all took from maybe it was coaches that y'all was under, anything like that, and it kind of like molded into yourself?
Yeah, so I think the biggest takeaway was my college coach, and he was more based on the cognitive aspect of sports, which I was never introduced to. It was like all physical, but he was really tapping into our mind. Like he worked at Culver Academy, was like a military academy in Indiana, and so it was like he brought that dynamic where it's like it's mental strength, mental building. Like he take us to the dunes and we run in the sand dunes. It's high, like it was like a lot of mental strength training. So that's kind of how I base my training around, is more mental than physical. Like, like you get your mind right, the body will follow. So I think that's the biggest takeaway and the biggest separation, where it's like coaches just focus on physical, and never get to the mental. Like how does this athlete think, how they wire? Everything doesn't work for everybody because everybody has a different mentality and how they operate. So I think that's probably the biggest takeaway as far as what makes me different from other coaches. It's not physical, it's more mental for me.
Definitely. What about you, Devon?
I think I took my defensive coordinator in college. He was like a defensive mastermind. Shout out Coach Turner, shout out Coach McCray, two super solid guys at Link University. But yeah, just a mastermind, man. Like just as far as knowing the ins and outs, because within those 2 to 3 years, we had kind of went through like two defenses and 2 or 3 defenses, and just the ins and outs of just all the rules and how he broke everything down. Like everything had purpose. Like it just wasn't like, oh yeah, just go out there and play, or we just playing cover 3. No, you got rules. If number 2 do this, you doing this. If they come out in this formation, you automatically doing this. Like it was like rules and checks and balances within the defense to make the players play faster and take the kind of the thinking out of it. So I think I adopted that from him, and just the technicality of it all. Like I think that, especially like looking at the high school players, it's a huge lack of fundamentals within the game now, and we used to, I feel like with us growing up, like we just had the individual time to know, hey, I know how to backpedal, I know how to break, I know how to drop into my coverage or whatever. But these kids don't know how to do that. And with COVID and everything that they've been going through, and just the generation that they in, like they weren't like us when they just knew how to play football. So my coach used to always just harp on the fundamentals of everything, like getting off a block, catching, just footwork, whatever, like flipping the hips, just basic things that you need to play the game. And it's like, what we try to tell the athletes now is like, you cannot play the game without the fundamentals. Like you have to know how to move your body. If you can't jump, run, stop, accelerate, decelerate, change direction, if you can't do these things, you won't be a good football player. But a lot of these athletes now, they kind of, I don't know, I guess it's the social media era of athletics, where people just go out and just do, but nobody's seeing the behind the scenes or what's really necessary for the athlete to become that guy who has the 10 offers, the Big Ten offers, the Alabama, the offers from Alabama, those are the things that I kind of took from my coaches.
Real quick. Another thing I do is with my kids, I try and really tell them the real, because I think sometimes, and especially coming from me, somebody they can relate to, because I'm closer in age, just like I can relate with them more than maybe the 60-year-old trying to tell me something. I think that goes through everything. But I try and tell them the real, you might make your 6th grade team, you might make all your 7th, 8th grade team, so now you're in high school. Freshman year, you may make the team, but every year you and your friends, we're going to see y'all start, a few people get cut off the team every year. So
people start falling off.
You probably you got a group of 8, your group of 8 friends, y'all all make it freshman year, it's a blast. JV come, 1 or 2 of y'all might not have made it. By the time varsity come, that's the 15 best players in the school. So TF South got about 2,000 kids. Now they obviously not all trying out, but that's the best 15 players in the school. So if you're not one of the best 15, you're not playing varsity basketball. And if you're not really one of the best 7 or 8, you're not playing. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I try and tell them you can get a head start, because you're in 5th grade and you're doing the drills that I do every day. I'm showing them kind of the way. And I wish I started doing it at that age. So I try and give them a little head start so they can think about things earlier on rather than once it's too late.
Yeah, it's definitely important to get, because we were talking about that last episode. It's definitely important to get the kids thinking about it way early on, because right now they're not because I remember my coach used to do the same thing for me. This going to just prepare you for the high school level. This going to prepare you for that. But you, as a kid, you hearing it, but it's not really sticking with you. But then when I actually got to high school, or when I got to my adulthood or whatever, and remembering the things that, whether it was my dad telling me something, or whether it was my coach telling me something, or my mom telling me something, I put it all together, start all clicking like that. Okay, I understand why I have to do this or do that, just so I'm prepared. Whether it was something as simple as cleaning up my room and cleaning after myself, or whether it was something like working hard on the field, making sure you studying film, things like that. It was all of that. I didn't learn that until adulthood, but I don't think it would have clicked if I wasn't being told that as a kid.
Yeah, so I think that's why it's important to do what we're doing now. And we're going to create that trickle-down effect, where it's me and Vaughn came back and we gave game, and then somebody like Caleb giving game. So we just keep on talking about South, because that's where we come from. We all went to the same high school. We all from the same community. Now, if we have every successful athlete going out, gaining experience, coming back and giving, and it's early on, because me and Vaughn can say, if we knew the things that we knew now when we was in high school, we'd be better off. And then he's saying if he knew the things that he knew now when he was an 8th grader, he would have been better off. And it just keep trickling down. And at some point, the kids are going to be prepared to be the best that they're going to be. And you will see it on the scoreboard. You will see it in the community. You will see it where they're getting Power 5 offers, all because people are getting the experience and coming back. But if everybody just leave and take the experience and never give it back, then everybody's going to suffer from the same consequences, the same failures, because nobody's teaching it. So we going to make it cool to go off to school, and hopefully Caleb go and have a great, successful basketball career. He come back and he coach and he has that experience, and out of basketball, basketball program is thriving, the football program is thriving, track is thriving. Like, it's bigger than just one sport. It's a bunch of men and women going and being successful, coming back and raising our kids, you know what I mean? Because I just feel like we in a generation now where it's a little shaky with the leadership and shaky with the parenting, and we come across kids all the time. It's like, man, you don't know this, you don't know that. Like, what? Like, who's teaching you? Like, nobody. So we kind of adopted that father figure because that's just what's needed in society right now. It's too watered down.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I definitely agree.
Yeah, I think people overlook guidance, especially the younger generation. Like and even the older people, but I think just overall people overlook guidance, like how much people need guidance. And a lot of these athletes, they trying to do it by themselves, or they trying to just go through the motions, but it's like, there's a way to do everything. It's the correct way to do everything. And if you want to get better at something, then what is better than having a teacher to take you through that versus trying to figure out everything on your own? And even when you do go that route of figuring out everything on your own, because we had to go that route, but in that route, you still miss a lot of things. So, like, literally, what's better than having somebody in your corner who's showing you the ups and downs of everything? Like our last high school class that's in college now, they in football camp, and they've been like sending us their clips and stuff. And yeah, the clips are of good things, but it's always something that could be better. So when they send me these clips, I'm critiquing them as, okay, like you might have made the play, but you do this and you can make the play better, or you would be more efficient if you did it this way, or watch that bad habit because that's going to come back and bite you later on in the season. So like, everyone needs that guidance, and not just athletics, whether we talking about young women, whether we talking about young men, whether we talking about people that's trying to further their faith in God, whether we talking about people that want to get smarter. Like, you need a teacher. You need some type of teacher, and I think people overlook that. And like, we always
mentorship thing.
Yeah, we just feel like we can do everything ourselves, and it's like, why? Like, why would he do everything himself when I have some type of knowledge that I can give him? Like, why would he have to go through everything by himself? You feel me? So it's like, if the younger kids really were open to being mentored and being taught, then I feel like you will see so much more gains in their athletic ability, their morals, they understanding, their knowledge, just everything. Like, they overall progression would just be so much better. But I don't know, it's just different with these kids nowadays.
I think because something I want to say, because I definitely agree. Before I was in between jobs like a couple months ago, and I was substitute teaching as I was in between jobs. And I think the one thing that I learned, just going to many different schools, charter schools and Catholic schools around Chicago, Southside Chicago, a lot of times, like, the kids don't really have the motivation either. And it could be a lot of things going on at home that, somebody like a teacher like me or a teacher that actually staffed there doesn't see, that, that could just be going on. They just don't talk about it or whatever. And then another thing, I think I want to bring it back to COVID. That's also another thing that hindered a lot of young kids, whether we believe it or not. You know what I'm saying? They went from going in school in person to completely working from a computer. And then even to this day, one thing I noticed, a lot of them are still in class on the computer.
Yeah.
But then the thing with that is, like, they're distracted. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things that I've witnessed is that they have an assignment or something, but then they want to be on YouTube looking at some random stuff, whether it's cars or anything, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's also another thing too. So it's like, I think, with y'all being the people with off season to kind of, and you as well, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, you coach fifth graders. I think that's going to, you know what I'm saying? You start with your area and stuff, and then eventually when you grow and be, the best athlete you can, or when the off-season brand just go global, that's going to be the trickle-down effect too, to see, like, all right, man, they going to see these episodes that we have and we talking about things like this. I think they going to really take that into consideration. And I think, people like us is going to be the reason why these kids, like you said, start taking mentorship, start really clicking with them early on, you know what I'm saying?
And you had asked that question in the last podcast, like, how do we change, like, those effects in it, like, just like how he's doing it, gaining some knowledge, gaining some experience. He had people that mentor to him and talk to him, comes from a good family background. And now that he's going through the process himself and learning some things on his own, now he can give back. And that's literally how we do it. We team up and we all just give back.
Exactly.
And no matter if he has one kid and I got one kid and he got one kid, like, if we can just positively affect a few kids out of the thousands, the 100,000s, the millions. Like, we can do our part, but it starts with just the willingness to do that. So
exactly. I want to bring it back to Caleb. One more question I got for you just before we get up out of here. We talked about a lot of things about kind of how you got into sports, and then kind of how your experiences through high school, and then kind of like what's immediate impact for you getting into North Park. One thing I want to ask, long term, say if basketball doesn't work out, what's kind of the backup plan? I know you mentioned your major, but kind of elaborate more on what you would like to do if necessarily basketball doesn't work out for you.
Yeah, so I think I want to be an elementary school teacher, because I love working with kids. And me personally, kind of where it came from, I never had a male teacher until I got to high school. And then when I did, I didn't have a black male teacher. And that's in a community that's very diverse. So I think I want to go give students at a young age, let them see something that I never got to see. So that's part of it. And then also, like we were talking about, giving back the knowledge, giving the information that we've learned. I feel like we've been saying, we give it to them at a younger age. And it's not just all basketball. It's not all athletics. It can be in a classroom. It could be at a youth group with the church. So I really see myself after college coming back and doing stuff with the youth, whether that be through athletics, education, walking through faith with people, whatever it might be. So that's kind of my goal. I want to eventually start my own AAU program, or my own some type of basketball program for kids.
Yeah, so essentially it's just giving back
basically
in many different ways, not just one avenue, just many different things. That's dope, sure, man. That's definitely dope. We got Caleb Newman here again, North Park. What position you play?
I play guard.
Yeah, North Park guard, going into his freshman season. Definitely want to appreciate you for blessing the platform. You know what I'm saying? You always welcome back. Like we're going to tell every athlete, you always welcome back. Maybe we can do a recap of this when the season's over. Yeah. You can kind of see like what kind of how the season went, what things you may have wanted to do differently, or what, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. So things like that. So I do want to appreciate FA and Devon as well. Off-season athletics, definitely follow the guys. Team TV, for sure. We're going to keep the content coming. We're going to keep more athletes coming, and then we're going to do that. Most important thing that I want to just mention about, kind of what we was talking about in this episode is just giving back. You know what I'm saying? I really believe that we're going to be those pillars, whether that's you, FA, whether that's you, Caleb, whether that's you, Devon, whether that's me. You know what I'm saying? I really truly believe, and I think this is just only the beginning. So I encourage all of us to keep that same mindset and don't ever forget what the real goal is. It's really for the kids. It's not really for us. It's really for the people that's coming after us. So, yeah.
Yeah, but just one last thing to bring it back to, training in the off season, how Caleb talked about just coming in and we want to work with basketball players, you know what I mean? So basketball players, like, don't come in thinking that because we train football players, it's going to be the same regimen, it's going to be the same workouts. Like, everything is based off of your sport. It's sport specific. It's athletic performance, all right? So the hoopers that come in won't be squatting, doing 5 sets of 10, heavyweight. Like, it's not that. It'll be more of mobility, stability, plyometrics, core, body control, the things that you can actually apply to basketball. So that's something that you will need if you talk to any college players, and so that's in any program. You have a strength and conditioning program, you're gonna have to lift. You're gonna have to face it one day. Like, and now I know I'm gonna hear excuses of KD don't lift no way. So this all right, look, man, they elite scorers, 7-footers, elite scorers. If you go to college, you're gonna need to have some strength, some stability, some core, some control. So come work with us, and we gonna get you right.
Most definitely. Anything anybody else want to say before we get up out of here?
Yeah, just to kind of echo what FA just said. Like, I was just thinking the same thing. Most of them probably thinking we didn't really lift that much in high school. I'll lift when I get to college. But like I said, I want to be prepared. And I'll be honest, I've been seeing them do their thing, and I've been respecting it. I always have loved what they're doing, but I'm like, what am I coming in the gym with a bunch of football players for? That's really, I'll be honest, that's really what I was thinking, because a lot of them were my guys. We went to school together, go to school together, but they all lift. I'm not going to lift like a football player, so why would I go? But when FA reached out, they really knowledgeable. FA and Vaughn really know what they talking about, beyond football. They know. So I came in. I ain't squatted yet. I ain't did no bench pressing yet. I'm doing all, like he said, basketball-specific things, like getting your bounce right, getting your stability, balance, all that stuff. So, you really need to come in and get the work, because it's real work. And, you really see it happening. You really see the difference.
Yeah, I'd love to see you talk about it from experience. You got anything to say, Devon, before we wrap anything up? All right, cool. Yeah, well, like I said again, Caleb, Devon, FA, appreciate it. You know, this is a great thing that I think we got going, and we're just gonna keep it going from there. But other than that, tune into the next episodes, whenever that may be. We're gonna have another athlete, and we're gonna keep it pushing from there. But this is the Off-Season Podcast, episode 2, featuring Caleb Newman, and we out like that.
Appreciate you, man.